Hello, well, if you're thinking about going to Budapest, then this is the video for you, because that's exactly where we're going in this travel special. Welcome to Grey Matters. Welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters and looks at issues that matter to the older generation. So, what can we tell you about Budapest? Well, it's the capital city of Hungary, and it's really two towns, Buda and Pest, separated by the Danube. Buda, I would suggest, is the historical half, while Pest is the commercial beating heart, but it's got its own history too, and you'll find the locals pronounce it Budapest. Now, we found it to be a warm and welcoming city that just oozes history. It offers tourists a wide range of treats, historically, visually and culinary. We flew with Ryanair. The total base cost was £178 return for the two of us. The current Ryanair policy is that you can only take a single bag on board and it must fit under the seat in front of you. If they don't fit, you'll have to check them into the hold, and that will cost you heaps. So to be on the safe side, we bought a couple of these Ryanair approved bags, and they actually hold a lot. It's surprisingly deceptive, but you can get a lot in there. But we decided, as we needed a little bit more luggage, we would pay for priority boarding for one of us so that we could take a cabin bag on board too. Now, a word of warning about putting the bags under the seat in front of you. If you have an aisle seat, the space under the seat in front is much narrower than the middle or window seat. And although you'll get the bag under there, no problem, there's going to be little room for your feet too. So it's unlikely you'll be able to stretch out your legs. Now, we chose our seats beforehand, and that cost us another £40. So with that and priority boarding, our cheap flight ended up not being quite so cheap after all.
Cheap flights, we should have gone by sea. There's no such feckin' thing as a feckin' flight for 50p.
Getting from the airport to the city centre is fairly easy. There are plenty of taxis about, but check the fare before you take one. The taxis all look pretty much the same, all bright yellow, but some are licensed and regulated and others aren't. Before leaving the UK, we actually booked a private return transfer between the airport and our hotel for just £60, which was fantastic. And I'll leave a link to the company we used in the description for you in case you want to investigate that option. We stayed at the Soho Boutique Hotel in Doneghay Street, very close to bus stop number 11 on the route of the big bus sightseeing tours, which was very handy. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Being a boutique hotel, the rooms are a little small, but they're well appointed with TV and minibar. But do note there are no tea or coffee making facilities in any of the rooms, despite what the websites like booking.com might tell you. Now, the travel agent we booked with scammed us, and we'll be talking about that in our next or an upcoming video, so keep your eye open for that. But for our viewers today, let me just say that we purchased a room upgrade, only to find that on arrival, apart from a couple of suites, all the rooms are the same. So room upgrades of any sort are impossible. Right, so don't be conned. All right, let's get out there. Budapest's history is a captivating tale of two cities, Buda and Pest, on opposite sides of the Danube. Buda, with its hilly terrain, has a commanding position over the Danube and a lot of history. Pest is now the commercial and tourist hub of the city, and it also has its own rich history, including 150 years of Ottoman rule, horrendous Nazi occupation during the war, followed by communist rule until 1989. Budapest is a vibrant cosmopolitan city now, with beautiful Art Nouveau architecture and a booming economy. As a visitor, you can wander through the cobbled streets of the Buda Castle district. You can take a stroll along the elegant boulevards in Pest, cross over the iconic bridges that connect these two sides of the city, and you'll also find that Budapest's history is ever present. Everywhere you look, and it just reminds us of everything that has shaped the Hungarian capital. Where to visit? Well, the city is famous for its spas, the most famous of which being the Széchenyi baths in City Park, or the Gellert baths. But be aware they can get very busy. So if you want to enjoy a cheaper and potentially less crowded experience, visit the less well-known spas such as the Lukács baths on the Buda side. Whenever we take a city break, we always opt for the hop-on, hop-off bus sightseeing tours. They help you to orientate yourself and give you really good insight into some of the city's histories and culture, courtesy of the onboard commentary. We booked an all-in 3-day ticket, which cost around £36 each.
So if you can hear me above all the noise of the traffic, because it is an open-top bus, the tour ticket includes a boat trip for an hour on the Danube, and there is also an optional walking tour where you can see things that the bus can't go.
Then for an extra tenner, it'll also include Buda Castle and the shuttle bus service to get you there. Here are some of the places in Budapest that are worth a visit. St Stephen's Basilica, dedicated to the King St Stephen, who was also the founder of the Hungarian state, and it's certainly one of the most beautiful and significant churches in the country. The Great Synagogue is well worth a trip. It's the largest synagogue in Europe and the second largest synagogue in the world. It can seat 3,000 people and is located in the Jewish quarter of Pest. Now, the walking tour took us past the Shoe Memorial on the banks of the Danube, and that's a memorial because of what happened during the war. The Jewish quarter in 1910 had a Jewish population that was around 200,000 people. In the winter of 1944, German and Hungarian Nazis turned it into a ghetto. Thousands died of famine, starvation, and of course the wholesale slaughter of the Holocaust. On the banks of the Danube is the Shoe Memorial. It's a spot where thousands of men, women and children were stripped of their possessions and their shoes, which is where they often kept their money and valuables. They were then shot and thrown into the river. The Shoe Memorial is, I think they're bronze, and basically they're replicas of the shoes that were found after the war. The Jewish quarter suffered a lot of damage during the war, and much of it has been left in ruins to this day. But today the area is the party hub of the city, with the most amazing and eclectic selection of bars occupying the ruins. They are known, unsurprisingly, as the ruin bars, the oldest and most famous being this one, the simpler Kurt. Another place really well worth a visit is the Parisi Passage. It's a must-see destination and a hidden gem. It used to be the opulent residence of Baron Joseph Bruden. It was later a bank and is now the Paris Oudva Hotel and Restaurant. But it is open to the public, and it's the ideal spot for coffee and cake, and to soak in the building's magnificence. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, one building you will not be able to miss because it is so big is the Parliament building. Its design stems from an international competition, and the winner used the Palace of Westminster as his inspiration. It dominates the river scene. From every part that you look towards the river, you'll see it. Now, over the river in Buda is Buda Castle, but be warned, it's high on a hill and has a good level. It takes a good level of fitness if you're planning to walk it. Thankfully, the castle runs a very regular shuttle bus service, and if you're on a city bus tour, you can get that included. The journey is around 7 kilometres long, but with interesting stops along the way. And alternatively, you can get most of the way up via a funicular railway. Once you're up there, don't miss the Matthias Church, which has been serving the people there since, I think it's 10:15, the year, not the hour. And it's impressive on the outside as it's breathtaking on the inside. It's beautiful. The Fisherman's Bastion is right next door and was built in the 19th century to serve as a lookout. So this is the Fisherman's Bastion that we're on at the moment, and look at the beauty of the architecture, and then they've allowed that monstrosity to be built right next door to the bastion and this amazing church that we've just been in. Sometimes common sense seems to take a holiday. Incredibly decorative and very fairy tale castle-ish. You will get the best panoramic views of the city from up there. Budapest Castle itself was a royal palace, but it's now a museum. There are guided walking tours available and even e-bike tours, and you can get trips down to the labyrinth of caves beneath the castle. We weren't there for that long and just found it to be very grey, very big, and I'm afraid rather boring. A river trip is worth doing too, as it gets you a different view of the city. You can also stop off at Margaret Island, which is a leisure hotspot. It's here that there are quiet walkways, flower gardens and ruins. Or for families, there's a zoo, swimming pool, water park, a theatre and a cinema. So, as I say, loads to do. The food is fantastic. A few doors down from the hotel, the Soho Boutique Hotel we stayed in, was a restaurant. The name, I dread to say, escapes me, but I will put it in the description. The food in there was absolutely wonderful. It is a little bit expensive to eat out in Budapest, but it's not just Hungarian goulash. There's a lot of fine dining and a lot of really good quality food to be had. I thoroughly recommend sampling the food out there. So that's it. Thank you for joining us on this little whistle-stop tour of Budapest. If you've been there, love to hear your reactions to it in the comments. If you disagree with anything we've said about the things to see or got any ideas for additional things to see, please leave comments and share them with everybody else. We had a great time, and I'm sure you will too if you go to visit. If you've liked the content, please give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, as they say on all the channels. It gets very boring, I know, but it all helps the algorithms and helps the channels to grow. We've got some interesting content coming up, obviously. Bit more about that scam and the hotel that I will reveal more to you about, and I'll be looking at 14 anti-inflammatory foods courtesy of our friends at restless.co.uk. So until the next time we meet, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.